All right, this is John Buhl with the MMA Outsider Podcast. I am joined by King of the Cage 135-pound champion, Jared Papazian. Jared, first off, I hope I pronounced your last name right, did I?
You did, actually.
All right, cool. Excellent. Well, yeah. Well, like I said, I appreciate you doing the show. I know you probably don't want to look back in the past too far, but I know you've had a successful 2011 so far, winning the KOTC crown, but before that, you fought a guy people are probably familiar with from The Ultimate Fighter, Jimmy Rivera. He's a guy we've had on the show before, and that was a fight you came up short in. Was that your first 5-round fight?
That was my first title fight, yeah, 5-5.
Yeah, and you didn't. You lost in a decision. You went the full 25 minutes. I'm sure you're probably disappointed, but what did you learn from that fight? Just going the full 5 rounds against a guy that tough.
It was different. I've never done it before. I came in pretty well prepared. Took the fight in short notice. He was supposed to fight originally. Was a rematch with Abel Cohen, but something happened with Abel Cohen, so I filled in for Abel. I got the call within 3 weeks. I was ready to go. It was a good experience. 5-5. I went the distance. It was a great fight.
Yeah. Now, since then you've obviously rebounded really well. Like you mentioned, Abel Cullum, a dream veteran, a guy who's just been around forever, one of the top fighters in the lighter weight classes for a long time, and you beat him, and then got a huge win over Marvin Garcia, defending your title for the first time. So, talk about those two fights, and just what was it like winning the belt first off against a really tough guy, and also defending it against a really young guy that maybe not a lot of people have heard of, but I'm sure he was really hungry to take your title from you.
Yeah, winning the fight, the title from, the belt was up for grabs since Rivera was on the show, so he vacated the belt. So the belt was up for grabs between me and Abel. Winning that belt was the most amazing feeling ever. I worked so hard for that fight. Abel's a tough fighter. He just keeps on coming. I came in well prepared for that fight. My cardio was off the charts. It was just an amazing fight. It went everywhere. It was a great fight. And with Marvin, Marvin's a really tough guy, undefeated at the time, 6-0, coming off a great win over Shad Smith. It was a great fight with Marvin to defend it. It was a great win just to defend the belt.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, some things people don't know maybe about us reporters and journalists. A lot of the times we don't come up with the questions ourselves. We get, press releases that give different ideas and things to talk about. And, one thing I noticed is, I guess you're not shy about talking about what you think of the number one guy in your weight class, Dominic Cruz. Obviously I'm sure you're a fighter and you expect that you could beat him because you're confident in yourself, but you seem to think he's boring. And that's actually something that I think people have picked up on as far as just his finishing ability doesn't seem to be there. I was just wondering, what do you have against the champ? Is just that he has the title that you want, or do you see something in his style that you don't really like?
I just think he doesn't try to. He's a runner. He doesn't try to knock people out. He hits and moves. He's not really. I'm not saying he's not trying to go for the finish, but I just think he's boring. I think he can do more. I'm not really. I just want his title. I'm very hungry, and I just think that by the time I get there, I can beat him.
Right, and I know you fought Muay Thai since you were about 16 years old, so you've been fighting in that stand-up discipline for a long time, and he has a very awkward, but it's been effective so far as striking style. It doesn't seem like the 135 or the lower weight classes have as many great strikers. It seems to be a lot of really good wrestlers in that weight class, but how do you think your striking ability could kind of, bring a little something different to that division in the UFC?
I think I have one of the top strikings in the division that I've brought to the table. I don't find anybody that right now that's in the division as a threat as a striker. Like you said, there's a lot of good wrestlers, but there's no knockout artists that's in the division. That's for sure.
Yeah, and also something in your bio I found interesting. You mentioned you got in some fights when you were younger, but you won most of them. But for some reason, I guess you were at a mall one day and you got jumped by a guy with some of his buddies, and it sounded like you were ganged up on. And I don't think that there's any real shame in someone jumping you and beating you up if they're outnumbering you, but you seem to have taken it personally. So, why did that moment really affect you so much as far as wanting to learn mixed martial arts and really, fine tune your fighting skills?
I was just, I was just really angry. I just felt really embarrassed. What happened was I was at the mall, like AMC Promenade Mall. There was like a movie theater there, and I guess he got all his brother's age. I'm like 15, 16 years old. He got all his brother's friends that are 18, 19 years old, and you don't stand a chance against like 12 guys, 10 guys. And I just felt really embarrassed, and I'm like, how can I let this happen? And I just, felt really embarrassed. There was about 50 people watching, just, who wants to feel that way, get beat up like that? And to me, I felt like really embarrassed and wanted to do something about it, and which I did, and I took it to another approach, which is to turn to MMA. And,
right. Yeah. Right, and talk about turning that experience, and as far as going into MMA, it's not like you were looking to exact revenge, I guess, necessarily, but you kind of turned it into something positive and really, took that competitive spirit and tried to make yourself a professional fighter. I mean, I guess, how'd you keep things positive instead of maybe going the other route and maybe getting into
my goal was to, fight them one by one, I guess. That was my goal, but it never happened. I started doing well in the sport. The sport wasn't very big at the time. It was back in 2005. So the sport, the Ultimate Fighter just happened. The sport wasn't, big. So I decided, just to, keep training and, just decided to do a couple smokers, amateur, and started doing well and to get to the next level, which I won pro when I was 20 years old, and I'm here now, King of the Cage champ. So now I can thank those guys who kind of turned me into the gym,
Right. And I know you train under a guy, Alberto Crane, a high-level BJJ black belt. He's been in the UFC. There's some other tough guys in your gym. WEC vet Chad George. Of course, Manny Gamburian, he was a WEC, now UFC contender. Gokor Chivichian, I think is how you pronounce his name, but a world-renowned trainer. I mean, it sounds like you're in a really great place to really work on your technique all around, and it sounds like you don't have a lot of very easy sparring partners either.
Well, I got a great, good group of guys. They only help me for the fight, and I help them. I just like to surround myself with positive guys that can benefit me, and I can benefit them, and, that's the name of the game, just, the family,
Yeah, absolutely, and there's no shortage of great grapplers in that group. But like I said, I know you trained Muay Thai early on. Talk about how you kind of put together your overall game as far as moving toward working on your ground game, and not just jiu-jitsu, but like even you said, there are a lot of wrestlers in this lower weight classes that if you punch them in the face, they like to take you down and try to neutralize that. So what have you done over the years to try to negate that? Because I'm sure it's something a lot of guys try to do against you.
I go down to SK Golden Boys, which is in Van Nuys. I go a lot of Olympic guys to do my wrestling, with Arnold, Dimension, Martin, all those guys down there. Even Kamal Shalarus comes down there. Just a lot of good guys. Manny, Conor Darbedian, they help me with my wrestling. Just putting it all together. I have a new boxing coach, which is also at PKG. Just putting it together is pretty easy. But before I was just a stand-up guy when I got into the game. My game was very raw. I was just a tough kid that was eager to learn, and I just surrounded myself with great coaches, great team, and just keep learning and evolving.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you like I mentioned, you've had some tough fights against Jimmy Rivera, Abel Colum, Karen Darabedian, so you've gone up against some tough dudes. But going back to the Rivera fight, it was a close fight that you lost a decision, and then he goes on and basically gets a shot with the UFC at the Ultimate Fighter. And did part of you think that maybe that could have been your opportunity if that fight had gone a different way? And is that when you realized how close you were to kind of getting towards your goal?
Yeah, it was close. It could have been my shot, but things happen for a reason. I'm happy where I am now. Getting into the tough house is it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. Unfortunately, Jimmy didn't get in the house, so he's not into the UFC. also getting into the house, there's no also guarantees that you can make the finale. So, I mean, it's a great opportunity for people to understand the personalities of the fighters and become a fan base. But I'd rather just get in one shot and just UFC calls and I get my shot there instead of taking really a chance and the fans can get to know me by my fighting styles and personality inside the cage, not just in tough.
Right, and one thing you definitely bring to the table, I mean, however you get in the UFC, if and when you do get there, is fighting for King of the Cage and now being a champion. I mean, you've had 3 full 5-round title fights, and that's an experience even a lot of guys in the UFC don't have. And so, how big of an edge, how big of a factor do you think that is as far as your confidence and just knowing that you can, compete against the guys at the highest level and also do it for the full 5 rounds without really worrying about it?
Yeah. Doing my first five minutes, I was kind of like questioning it. Because it's different doing it in practice than actually attempting into a fight. So now I have 3 5-5s under my belt. So the next time I do it, every time I'm gonna get better for it, and every time I train for it, I'm gonna get better at it, obviously. And when I go down to back to 3-5s, the pace is just going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. Right. Now, again, going back to, you mentioned Dominic Cruz and, as far as calling him out, are you worried that some people might take it as you're just trying to, get your way in by kind of downgrading the champion, or do you think that, it's just, I mean, it's a fine line because, I mean, reporters like us, we're really annoying because we want you guys to give us interesting quotes, but then we pick on you and say you're mouthing off, so it's a delicate line to tread. But I mean, talk about, for the people who maybe think you're just trying to work your way in by, getting quotes on the websites and everything. What would you say to those people if there were any critics?
No, I'm not saying that's the way I'm supposed to get in. I'm King of the Cage champ. I work hard. I believe I could compete at that level if they give me a shot. And I believe in 2 years I would have that belt. No, I'm not. I live up to my hype. I always leave it in the cage. I'm always a fight of the night favorite. Every fight, I always get fight of the night. And I'm just an exciting fighter, and I just want to prove it in the big stage that I can bang with those guys.
Yeah, definitely. And before we let you go, any sponsors or any thank yous you'd like to mention or any plugs you want to give?
I want to shout out to my coaches, Alberto Clean from Gracie Baja, Seth Zuli at TKG, SK Golden Boys, Arnold Demisian, my kickboxing coach, Santiago Satan, my strength and conditioning coaches, Leo, Franco, Joey, Alvarado, sponsors, High Fighters, Dojo Fight Gear, HarrisonLee.com, and also my manager, Darren Harvey. And also, thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, it's no problem at all. I mean, like I said, you've beaten some good guys this year, and so I'm sure fans are going to start hearing more about you, so we wanted to give them a first chance to get to know you. But good luck with whatever comes up next, and we look forward to seeing your next fight.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks. Bye.